Thanks for joining us on the program. Well, today, the moment we are in, what is most topical, what is rating at the moment is the suspension of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Honorable Justice Walter Onore. Well, for many analysts, the opinion they've expressed is not about whether the Chief Justice of Nigeria committed the offense or not, but the procedure being adopted to take action, to suspend him, to discipline him. That is the crux of the matter. And today on the program, we're going to examine that. We have erudite analysts, politicians, scholars that are here with us in the studio to give us insight into this. And as usual, we'll open our studio line so you can also call and be part of the discussion today on the program. Remember, you can follow us using any of our social media platforms to be part of the program. As is a tradition, our studio line will be open so you can also call and be part of the program. Let me quickly welcome our panelists. I'd like to thank very especially Malam Nuruddin Asunoge. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
I'd like to thank Honorable John Yakubu for creating the time to be part of the program. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Sonny, for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Let me also welcome Barrister Sonny Daudu. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers and listeners already.
And of course, Adam Saliu is a legal practitioner also in Benin here. We thank you for coming, Barrister Adam Saliu.
Thank you very much, viewers.
Okay, let's just go right into the heart of the program today, which is the suspension of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Barrister, okay, yeah, of course, you're a barrister at law, Malam Nuruddin Asunoge. This issue, for some people, the way it has turned out was expected. But the question is, the action taken by the president, is it constitutional?
Well, let me begin by saying these are troublous moments for those who are struggling and wishing that it is time we stop swimming in putridity. Having said that, I want to say that it's an unfortunate development that the president did what he did. By any stretch of imagination, it is done in infraction of the provisions of the Constitution. Why does one say this? The CCT is inferior, so to speak, to the Court of Appeal that has asked that the CCT stops anything about this matter until whatever is before them is determined. Again, what the president appeared to have worked on is an ex parte whatever order. So, I don't know. You know, of course, there is no way you can luxate politics from all of the things that have happened. Before now, yes, I have argued that if you looked at the person of Onoge, only in clients such as ours could he have aspired to become the one who superintends over the judiciary of this country. Because you could describe him as a moral cadaver. But talking about the real issue now, was the procedure right? We say no. It's not just about what is to be achieved. It's differently put. It's like you say, oh, somebody came to my house to rob. He escaped from the scene of the robbery. But I was able to identify who the person was. Someday I see the person in town and I shoot the person. There will be no justificatory basis for doing all of that. There are procedures that I think all that had been done so far is done in infraction. If the president argues that I was simply obeying court orders, then we would have wanted the history of obedience of court order to be seen. Zeki, I don't like him, but the court has said that he should be released on bail. Ditto for Dasoki. All of this had not been obeyed. These are court of competent jurisdiction, not to talk of CCT and all that kind. So I have a problem with the procedure, not with the issue itself.
Okay. Let me come to John Yakubu. Is this a political decision?
Well, you said it yourself.
I'm asking a question.
Well, I know you are asking a question, but that is the right thing to say the way we are in this country. Right now, even the CCT chairman who issued that will I call it, it's not a daylight order, who issued that order on Wednesday, haven't adjourned on Tuesday. I am not a lawyer. We look at what they do in court. Everybody in court on Tuesday realized or have agreed that that case had been adjourned on Tuesday to Monday. And by Wednesday, a court of higher jurisdiction, so to speak, have asked the CCT to stop action until something else is done to this. But by Thursday, by yesterday, when that thing was done, we started, and it was known to nobody, any person. We started seeing on social media an order issued by the CCT on I think that was on Thursday, unknown to the defense lawyer. So what are we talking about? Even before this thing was done, a lot of persons have said, look, APC want this man out because they believe that if there is anything after the election, either pre or post-election matter in court, we will not have how will I put it now? Justice, so to speak. But look at the person presiding over CCT, who has issued that order. As we speak, is having a case in EFCC. The person himself, who is saying the Chief Justice of this nation should be suspended, but nobody has suspended him. And I know the lawyer in our midst here know that that man has a case in EFCC. So why is he now presiding over CCT? Why can't the federal government at the same time suspend him because he has a case in EFCC?
Okay, let me proceed. I'll come back to you. We're setting the foundation for this discussion. Barrister Sonny Daudu, I saw that you came to the studio with a copy of the 1999 Constitution. Because I believe this issue is constitutional, I've read a couple of comments and editorials on this subject, and the real issue, the core of it, is that the action taken by the president contravenes sections of the Constitution that that provided for the position of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Let's get your take along those lines.
Well, thank you very much. I will address the issues from strictly constitutional point of view. But let me give this allusion by a poet, the philosophical poet Vigi. He described the damnable and damned proceedings of the judge of hell. First it punisheth, then it heareth. But good judges and justices abhor such causes. When you punish first before you hear, it's unconstitutional. It's not in line with any tenets of political democracy. It's not in line with any new practices in the world. Now let me go into what the position has been. Apart from the court restraining the Code of Conduct Tribunal from proceeding with the process of removing the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the court ordered a restraining order against the President, the Attorney General of the Federation, and any agency that is capable of removing, not to remove him, pending the denomination of the substantive truth. In flagrant disregard to that, the federal government has said to have suspended the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Now, that is a court judgment. Now, constitutionally, I am not aware, I'm over 10 years at the bar, I'm not aware any provisions of the law where the president or the federal government can suspend the Chief Justice of Nigeria. I'm not aware, and I will learn from this, so that if anybody tell me where it is written, he will let me know. But the procedure for the removal of any judicial officer is provided in section 292 of the Constitution. The process is laid down. If there's a complaint, the complaint will be sent to the person in question to react to, and after reacting, whatever recommendations will be sent to the National Judicial Council. The Judicial Council will make recommendations to be sent to the President, and the President will say same to the National Assembly, especially the Senate, which will then approve it with a two-thirds majority, calling for the removal or suspension or dismissal or termination of a judicial officer. If this process is not followed, whatever the offense is unconstitutional, it's undemocratic, does not represent the tenets of good governance, does not represent the tenets of fighting corruption, does not represent any known procedure for the removal of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And my worry, sir, is that if we continue to allow this to continue, I will never be a party to a system that will disintegrate Nigeria. I will not be a party to a system that will sectionalize Nigeria. I will not be a party to a system who does not recognize the tenets of political democracy.
Okay, let me push it there. I'll bring Sir Adam Salih in here. There is a great concern that at the time the CCT sat over this matter, after the day's proceedings, there was an adjournment for Monday 28. Some of those who have commented on this is, at what time did the CCT chairman give that order, which he transmitted to the president? Because the president said he's relying on the order from the CCT tribunal to set aside, to ask the CJN to step aside so that pending the determination of the case. So the question now is, this is a legal issue, it's a legal matter, it's a constitutional matter. I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
Well, as you have hinted, it is purely a legal matter. And I am disappointed that people are reading politics into it. For historical exactitude and ease of reference, the position of Chief Justice of Nigeria started with Adetokunbo Ademola in 1958. And for 25 years, all succeeding Chief Justice of Nigeria were from southern Nigeria, including Ayo Irikefe, all of them from the south. Then, thereafter, for another 25 years, the position went to the north, based on seniority, or to Aloma Miriam Mukhtar. So the hierarchy is what is used in the judiciary among the highest judge in the Supreme Court to be Chief Justice of Nigeria, irrespective of where the person comes from. I'll give it 25 years, it happens like that. Okay. And I know that for political. And this time around, Onoga is the 15th Chief Justice of Nigeria. He happened to be on seat. And paradoxically, his next person in seniority is from the north. Okay. These are led people to think that the government want to remove a southerner to put a northerner. This is the first time that the CCC asked the next person to be a southerner.
But that's not the
question.
I know. So what I mean is not tribalistic, it's not religion, it's seniority. The next one to over is senior. Then for the constitutionality, the president has obeyed a court of law, an ex parte motion, which is binding. And there's even a caveat that the pending determination of the suit, that Secretary can be informed after the determination of the suit. If he's found innocent, he will get his position. He is obeying a court. It's not unilateral. It's not autocratic. He obeyed an ex parte motion by a court of competent jurisdiction. And that is why he said, justice.
Even when there is a subsisting ruling from the appeal court.
The ruling will still come up on that.
Excuse me, sir. With due respect, you are my senior.
Excuse me, sir.
Let's take it one at a time. Yes, but just anchor the point.
Yes, so the point.
So the action of Mr. President is in order.
Yes,
following the code of tribunal order.
He following the code of tribunal ex parte motion, directing him on what to do with a caveat. Perpetual removal.
All right, I'll come back to you. Malak Nuruddin Asunoge. I said something a while ago that those who were in court on Tuesday at the CCT said what eventually was transmitted to the president, which he relied on to take this action, never was discussed at the tribunal. So how did the chair of the tribunal transmit? How did it come about this transmission?
Well, that is the nature of an ex parte. The other party is usually not put on notice. So that is the nature of it. But having said this, the truth of the matter is, we will be parsimonious with truth if we were to divorce politics from all of this. Onoge is not my man. What they say he had admitted to, he has not come out to dispute that, shows that he is liable, so to speak. But are there no procedures? Why jump the gun? The order of the tribunal the president is relying upon is inferior to that of the Court of Appeal. He knows it. There are hierarchies. Except we are saying, let us collapse all of this. But I give you one thing. People make mistakes. Yes, there was a Sani Abacha panel headed by Kayode Esho that had indicted him when he was judge of the Cross River State High Court and that kind of stuff. But do not forget, in the case between Buhari and Yaradua, Mukhtar, who became the first and for now the only female Chief Justice of whatever, gave a dissenting judgment. Ogutade was one of those who gave a dissenting judgment. And by sheer coincidence, Onogen was the third who gave a dissenting judgment. When Ogutade had left the judiciary, he had retired, he became Buhari's consultant. Money, of course, was paid to him. That was in appreciation of the fact that you had stayed with integrity. And today, he is a high commissioner. If you were to borrow into the past of Tanko, who is in acting capacity today, does he wear, is he draped in the costume of immaculation? The answer, of course, is no. When you come back to Danjuma, the one in the CCT, whatever, you know, he has issues. I have a problem that it benefits us now. Yeah. We do know that from both ends, some persons are reacting. That Onoga had given assurance to some persons, don't worry, we will constitute the panels and all that kind of stuff. And so the other side got this piece of information. And so before you do that, we would truncate whatever for you. And so if anyone says there is no politics in this matter, that's not true. But I have a problem. The problem is we still would have dealt with Onoga without acting in infraction. If, for example, I knew that there are people who will compromise the CJN in the composition of the panel that will look at election cases, it's concern of inviting the president and say, we are watching you. And he's on his toes. By any stretch of imagination, the position of the Constitution is clear on this issue. Again, don't forget, the CCB is an arm of the executive. Ditto for the CT. Yeah. So it will mean that the executive could wake up one day and doesn't like the face of Sonny Duke Okosu and say you have been this and that. We again ask, what is the highest punishment if Onoga were even to be found to be guilty that the CCT can award? What is the highest punishment? It is not removal from office.
Okay, John, you made something. Yeah.
Now, let's go back to the issue raised by senior brother here. When he tried to remove or expunge politics from what we have in Nigeria today. Yes, by the grace of God, you are a lawyer, I am not. But a lot of very senior lawyers have come out to say, look, this is not right. And like he said, you will agree with me that when the higher court come out with an order, that order will be superior to the order made by a lower court. And you are a lawyer. You know that the appeal court is superior to the CCT. And an order has been made by the appeal court. Now, like the government we have, if it collapses today, it's not collapsing on one person. It will go down on everybody. Don't forget when Babangida wanted to destroy the Second Republic in B, an association called ABS came up and went to court with speed. With speed, orders were torn out in Nigeria by separate court in this country. And that brought down the second republic. And now look at the speed at which this one is going again. Don't forget, when Abacha came on board, some persons went to Abuja with a million-man march, supporting even the evil government that we were under, because of what they were benefiting. But today, again, a lot of persons are speaking from all the sides of their mouth. Luckily today, the person saying, oh, this is not politics, but this is purely legal, is a lawyer who will approach a court. And once he is so satisfied with the lower court, will go higher. What I'm hearing from my brother today now is that even when a higher court gives an order that seems to overrule what the lower court said, the best thing to do in that circumstance is to obey the lower court. If that is the situation, then why do we now have an appeal court and now with the Supreme Court? We all know, like we said, you see the speed at which this thing was going on. When this issue came about, the first thing we heard from the deputy president of this country was that, oh, the president of this nation is unaware. And the speed with which that petition came, by Wednesday, Thursday, by the next Monday, by the next day, Onowe was already in court. I am not a lawyer. I am a politician. And like he said, if you believe because you have the mind that Onowe will not constitute a panel that will be favorable to your party and this is the way to go, now it will backfire. Because the entire world, like my president said, even when he raised up his 8 finger in the city, was that the entire world was watching. It is not only when you present a matter on the floor of the Senate that the entire world is watching. When you are doing a thing that contravenes the laws of this land, the entire world again is watching. And Onowe's own is a point for the entire world to see. If a lawyer today is sitting in our midst among 3 other lawyers and is saying that, oh, it was good for the president to have obeyed the law, the judgment order of a CCT and not obey that of a superior court, then they will, like he said, we are again going to learn in my four part of it, jurisprudence you call it, the lawyer may now have to begin to cite that. It's so sad that when we discuss as Nigerians, we discuss selfishly because I didn't want to speak about politics.
I don't want us to get
No. I didn't want to do politics because
yes.
I have very good gentlemen here who I respect so well. I respect them so well on national issues. That was why when we started, I didn't want to delve into the issue of politics. But let me say this. If we destroy this because of what we think we have, our interest we want to protect, posterity will not forgive us.
That's a good place to anchor the point. But Professor Sonny Dowdy, I just hope that you can still fall in line with some of the thoughts that you wanted to bring on board, especially when Sir Adam Saliu made some comments earlier.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, I have said it that I'm privileged to be here. I will not, for any reason whatsoever, either pecuniary or political or social benefit, to allow the judicial organ of government to be desecrated or to be brought to disrepute for any reason whatsoever. Even if there is an allegation, grievous allegation against any person who I will not shield, my argument remains that there are procedures in achieving same. And where you do not follow that procedure, then people like us will tell you the truth. Now, there was a subsidiary court order restraining CCT, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, from acting. That makes it fortuitous officials. That means an ex parte order cannot even be brought to that court again, irrespective of the same matter. So, while admitting that an ex parte order, you don't put the other person on notice, can be brought at any time, even in chambers, it can be granted. I'm saying by the subsidiary court order, it becomes fortuitous official. It can't act. It cannot take any matter to that court, irrespective of that same matter, except the other matter has been disposed of at the higher court. You cannot. So if any lawyer comes here and say whether there is a subsidiary court order restraining a court or another organ or an institution from acting, and you can still go and act, I will not be party to that. I was not trained like that.
Okay, let me bring it by setups on you. It does mean that the president has a prerogative of which court order to obey. Is that his whims and caprice on which court order to obey, isn't that?
Now, in law,
yes,
when you say something is functus officio, it means it has outlived its usefulness. That okay. It does not have the perpetuity. So, functus officio, so the status quo ante is that there was an order, there was another order of competent jurisdiction. They are perpendicular and equal. And
so, are you saying the appeal court and the CCT, they are equal?
The appeal court is higher.
Okay.
As to where?
Okay.
It has given a date.
Okay.
And it has ruled that the CJ could appear in court and be tried. It did not exonerate him, it did not discharge him. At the time, it was a matter of jurisdiction, whether the CTC had a local standing, had the authority to write, and it was verified that it had to do its job. And for information, when we bring in politics into this matter, the Senate president appeared before the CTC. Saraki appeared. But he is an elected official. You cannot remove him except two-third majority of the senators who voted him. But for the Chief Justice of Nigeria, he was appointed. So 130 says that he is the chairman of the National Judicial Council. If he is the chairman of National Judicial Council, to superintend over any judicial matters or judicial officer, obviously, nemo judes in causa sua. You cannot be a judge in your own case. He is at the CJ. He is the chairman of the NJC. And so a matter that is ordinarily brought before NJC will be tried by him. He cannot be a judge in your case. So now, as I said, there's a caveat. It's suspension. It's not termination. It's not removal with ignominy. And ceteris paribus, if he wins the case, he will go back to his job.
But Malamudu, is that a possibility within the context of Nigeria?
Well, you see, we can't begin to talk about what is possible or what is not possible, because here we are dealing with a situation no one had anticipated. But even at that, where the CJN is the one who is involved, if there was a matter following the proper channel and a report was made, all he needed to do as a gentleman is to say, there is this matter before us, I excuse myself. Step aside, allow others to look into the matter. And again, if we all had integrity, we do not have this sit-tight mentality. When issues like this come up, the individual will say, I am inferior. I derive my uniqueness from within the context of the institution I represent. If my continuous stay would rubbish this institution, I step aside. I may not be admitting guilt, but I want to say I'm willing to make the sacrifice in order to reinforce the institution that has made me. He could do all of this. So, but as things stand now, you can be sure. Yes, they gave the example of Saraki who came before the whatever, and of course we have known what had happened because we are dealing with a society, the judiciary is just an aspect of it. Do not forget that the DSS that raided the homes of the justices, that included Onogen. Onogen's house was one of the houses raided. The DSS that did that, on whose behalf did they do that? Whom were they reporting to? So this brings in the whole issue of politics. Don't forget that there was this money. Some money, Bureau de Exchange were said to be taken somewhere. Over 400 million and that kind of stuff. What was the allegation? That it was money belonging to Saraki. That Saraki needed that money to do some settlement. The other guys who worked for Saraki knew that there was the movement of the money. They blocked, they were superior in terms of weaponry, and so they took the money. When they were apprehended, the captain who led that whatever is gone into space. Nobody has found him. But the DSS guys were picked up in Nasarawa and everywhere. But they couldn't be brought before any court in the true sense of the word because whatever is alleged to have been stolen, one of the ingredients is that it must have somebody who owns the money. Saraki came on the pages of newspaper, whatever, to say, I don't own that money. Became like the proverbial goat that died in the market square, no owner. So you don't steal an ownerless property. Yeah. Till late, before the DSS boss was cashiered, Daura, those guys were still in detention. You couldn't bring them before court. And whose whatever were you advancing? Yeah. The Bureau de Exchange that had the money could have been tried for money laundering. That didn't happen. So we are in a society that is composed by a lugubriousness that is inexplicable. And so that's the danger that made me say nothing, absolutely nothing that is impossible. But whoever the advisors, sometimes I have a feeling, I ask this question, who runs the Ministry of Justice, the Federal Ministry of Justice? Is it Malemi or the vice president general, the vice president of this country, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, a very cerebral man, a law lecturer, a beautiful, whatever is, whether he's the one who runs that ministry. Because these fellows are sufficiently close to Mr. President to say, we could save ourselves. We could play the politics in a much neater way. There is politics. When the PDP, which my brother belongs, say, no, it must not happen. When they did it to Ayo Salami, they were not going to say no because it served their purpose. Yeah. But we are saying that it destroys the society.
That's the cause of the matter. Implications of the suspension of the CGN, constitutional implications are the focus of our discussions today on the program Politics Today. I know you've been itching to call and be part of the discussion. Our studio lines will be opened shortly. Let me quickly get John Yakubu in. Implications of this action. The president, in his address before announcing Muhammad Tanko as the acting CGN, talked about the fight against corruption, the stand the government has taken in its fight against corruption, and that just like Barrister Adams Aliyu said, no one cannot be a judge in his own case. So I'd like to get your thoughts.
You see, when you talk about corruption, that will quickly take me back to what the chairman of APC said in Edo State 2 weeks ago. That when you err, that once you have crossed over to our party, you are forgiven. That is on tape. You have it here, and it's everywhere in the world. And again, that takes me back to what the president said while he was showing us his 8 finger in the, on the Senate floor, that the world is watching. So if the world is watching, like I keep saying, if we are not prepared to live as civilized human beings, let's go back to the bush. Like my friend mentioned even before the program started, he said even if we get back to the bush, the animal might chase us out. That is the truth. We will want to justify everything that is wrong, provided it benefits us. And that cannot lead us anywhere. The present government is not fighting anything close to corruption. All they are saying is that if you are corrupt, all you just need to do, just live where you are, come back to us, like Kushomule said, we'll clean you. So when you take this back to corruption, I am not in any way in agreement with any person who tend to say, oh, we are fighting corruption. I mentioned even earlier in this program this morning that even the man trying, the chairman of the CCT, Code of Conduct Tribunal, is on trial with EFCC. The government has not even asked him to be suspended. So if a blind man is leading another blind man, where do we get to? This issue of corruption, Nigerians have come to agree with the present government that they are just using it as a kind of shed to winch out others. If the government is fighting corruption, I will be the first to come on the studio to say, yes, you are doing well, even if it has to do with people of the other party. But the situation where you take my friend, my brother Sonny, there are a lot of persons, like the lawyer said here, a lot of cases have been determined either at the Court of Appeal, at the Supreme Court. Release this man, release B, let the other one go on bail. The president will come on there and say, no, do you know that so and so person has stolen so amount of money? You are the executive, you are the judiciary, and you again want to turn yourself to the legislative arm of government. Where do we go from there? This is not civilization. This is not about politics. In all honesty, if we must move forward as a people, if we must be developed like other nations, we must expunge this bitterness of trying to punish people who we believe are not for us.
All right, I'll come to you. I believe we still have the time. But Sir Sunita Audu, the acting CGN, Honorable Justice Muhammad Tanko, made himself available to be sworn in. I also there was a case, I think it was in Abia State, where a certain man, one Oji, made himself available to be sworn in as acting Chief Judge of that state. Okay, the National Judicial Council
dismissed the person. Dismissed
him or suspended him, but he was queried. I mean, an action was taken. Tanko haven't made himself available to be sworn in as acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. Is he liable in any way?
Without the recommendation of NJC.
Yes. Well, let me say this first.
Could you just go straight to the point? Go straight to the point.
No.
My time.
Yes. What I'm trying to say is that the application of the rule of law involve the application of the purest principles of law, and there should be nothing more pretentious. I will answer your question. Yes, he has made himself available to be sworn in. There are really no legal inhibition in view of the fact that technically the Chief Justice is said to have been suspended, which is unacceptable to me as a lawyer. There are no legal inhibition. But let me quickly correct an impression so that at the end of the day, our statements here will fall on a fertile ground. There is no petition known to me before the NJC that will require Onowe to step aside. And if there is any, it should step aside, but not suspended. When the matter is before NJC, what he does, what the law says is that you cannot preside over it. You step aside. The decision will be taken while you are not sitting. But not that you will not be, you will be removed or suspended for a time being as a Chief Justice of Nigeria. I'm saying there is nothing like that in the Constitution. That's why I decided to bring the Constitution. The method of removal is contained in section 292 of the Constitution, down to so many other sections of the Constitution. There is nothing like that. If any is supposed to happen, that must be supported by 2/3. That's what I'm trying to say.
Of the Senate.
Of the Senate.
Okay.
Empowering the president to so suspend. That is what I'm saying. Then if you go for that to say that it should be suspended pending the trial, the determination of the situation, when will the matter end? Remember that you cannot also suspend it for more than 3 months. A person cannot act more than 3 months. The mark that is there now cannot act more than 3 months. If in 3 months you now confirm him, what happens to the man that you say you are suspending? You can't suspend him for more than 3 months. The man cannot act for more than 3 months. It's the Constitution. I may decide to read it. Yeah. It's there.
All right, we'll have the time to read that. Yeah,
so you cannot suspend, a person cannot act for more than 3 months. And even if he's acting for more, you can't reappoint him to act another more than 3 months. Are you going to now confirm him while the matter is still in court, while it's on suspension, or you dismiss it? So we should avoid technicalities in statements, or what we call semantics. Whether you suspend a person, you suspend it from his office. Is it still there now? So we shouldn't bring issue of technicalities. I'm saying that there is no provision from the law that says you can suo motu suspend. If you are suspending, it must be with the approval of a 2/3 majority of the Senate. If that has been complied with, I will have no business to say, coming here to say that you can suspend him. You can suspend him, but you must follow the approval. The National Judicial Council must also recommend start. That is what he recommends, is what to forward to the president, is what the president forward to Senate, and the Senate approves it. It's here. I'm not the one who provided it. It's the procedure. I'm not concerned about whatever he does. If he does anything, he should go for it. I'm saying that the procedure for suspending him must follow this.
Must not follow now.
If we follow, you suspend it, well and good. Okay. We shouldn't jump the gun.
All right, President Adam Salu, a final word from you before we open our studio lines so we can get the input from viewers and listeners on radio. By the way, our studio line is 052-290-573. If you dial that number, you'll be able to be part of the discussion today on the program Politics Today. So, Vice Adam Salu, final word from you on this matter before we open our studio line.
Well, I am aware that there are no sense as far as corruption charges are concerned. I am aware that some former governors are now in jail, and most probably they belong to the ruling party. They are serving jail terms now in this country. The examples a plethora of cases. Then I'm equally aware that the president acted bona fide in good faith by following the directive of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. It was stated there in black and white that it should direct the Chief Justice to go on suspension.
Okay, let me just ask you a follow-up question to bona fide that you made reference to. Is that justifiable against the background that in the president's address before announcing the acting CJN, he mentioned, I read it online, I couldn't really authenticate it, but he mentioned that several cases that are, going on in courts, that judgments that are coming out from those courts that are questionable. Just yesterday or so, we heard that the appeal court now said INEC was in order to say the ruling party can't field a candidate in Zamfara State. So if you're saying that what the president did is in good faith, and then the president on the other hand is saying that, yes, the president on the other hand is saying that, under the leadership of Justice Onohe, there have been cases or judgments given that are questionable. Isn't this a premeditated
We
decision?
regard that as an obiter, a side comment, which is neither here nor there. It was an obiter that during Onohe's regime, people have been discharged, they were corrupt. That is neither here nor there. The substance of the case was a directive from the CCT directed the president to execute another, and he did that, which was transient, temporal, and ephemeral, as I said. Okay. Suspension. It was not. Our studio
line is open now. 052-290-573. If you dial that number, you'll be able to be you'll be able to contribute to the discussion this morning on the program Politics Today, reaching you live on independent television and radio. You can also follow us from any part of the world via our website at www.itvradionnigeria.com. We're also streaming live on Facebook at facebook.com/itvradioNG. Dial the studio number and let's get your views, let's get your take on the discussion today, suspension of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Walter Onohe. Now, Nurdin Asnonge, the election is just around the corner, and all of this is happening. You said a while ago that we can't take politics away from all that is happening. Does this decision put the present administration more in bad light in the fight against corruption? And then there have been issues raised about the executives penchant or wanting to suppress other arms of government, particularly with the experience with the legislature under the leadership of Senator Bukola Saraki, and now the judiciary. What are your thoughts?
Well, I get the feeling that taking the person of Buhari, he has this pathological hatred for corruption. That I don't dispute. But how you go about the fight is a different thing altogether. And that is what I am querying. What has been described as obiter, for me, is fundamental, it is central. I think it is the most unfortunate thing that should not have happened. If the president said matters that have gone there, the people are walking away. There are a number of reasons why people will walk away without getting convicted. If you, for example, had a very weak prosecution, you don't blame the judges. I give you one example. As we speak today, the former members of the CCT are in court challenging their removal from office. Do not forget that the vice president said they had done their 2 terms. And the truth of the matter, this was in black and white. The truth of the matter is that they only did 1. And there is no law saying that they must do 2. But why did you say what was not correct?
Correct. In the face of the law.
Now, that is, as we speak today, that matter is still there. So, you find that when you occupy a position of leadership, you need to be economical with wealth. By this, I don't mean that you should be mendacious, but I am simply saying, count the words you say.
Because
it was sufficient for you to say, I have seen this. Because one would read the element of bias. Oh, because I did not jail some persons that you felt must be jailed. Nobody's. If you come before a judge, it depends on what is presented. If the facts are not sufficient to grant a conviction, why would the judge do so?
All right, John. Yeah, final take.
Well, like you said, honestly speaking, I really don't know anything that our president, so to speak, will be aware of. Because everything from posting the IG to so many other important things for this nation, the first thing that will come out from the president is that I am not aware. And like he said just now, just before you started taking calls, that the president probably would have said it on the sideline, that this man have allowed people to evade justice. Now, how do you say that in a country like Nigeria, that the man who is supposed to be on top, it is not all the cases that we have in this country that is taken by Onoge. Onoge might be the CJN, but it's not Onoge that is the judge in all the courts we have in this country. If we are not getting fair judgment from court A, B, C, and D, and you now believe because of Onoge as the CJN, then we are in trouble.
Thank you. We'll ask the other two panelists, maybe as far as that conclusion, what is the way forward, in addition to your final thoughts, Barrister Sonny Daudu?
Yes, thank you very much.
Please be as brief as possible. We're running out of time.
First, let me quickly say this, that no government, no agency of government, no institution of government can pick and choose the order of court to obey. It's either you obey a court of law, the order of court, or you disobey it. Now the way forward. I would advise the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to rescind his action and recall Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onoge, to his seat.
Okay, all right. Barrister Adams Ali.
Well, I still stand of the view, the age-long respect for the judiciary, that it cannot be compromised, it cannot be tribalized or regionalized. Succession in that post has always been in order of...
That's not the subject, really. It's not about succession. It's not. That's not even the issue now. That's not the succession. Okay, what is the way forward? What's the way forward?
Well, the way forward is that we should allow the law to take its course.
Okay.
In a constitutional democracy and obey the rule of law.
All right, Barrister Nuruddin, what's the way forward?
For me, the way forward is let Mr. President find the impervidity to say, I was ill-advised, I'm recalling the man who is on suspension. Where he fails to do that, let NBA direct that all lawyers should stay away from court.
Thank you very much.
Crumble the judiciary.
John, well, he has said it. Let the president for the first time. I mean, he's the president of this country and not the president of few. If everybody is saying that he should recall Onoge, including very senior lawyer, I think the best thing to do is for President Buhari to recall Onoge as the CJN of this country.
Well, that's the way we put a stop to the show, or conclude the show today. Politics Today on independent television, on radio. Independent television and radio. Of course, I'm not saying Onoge there, but that's okay. It's understandable. He's the man of the moment, the man in the eye of the storm, by virtue of the issues that have taken place. The man has not denied not doing what he said, what was said, what he's been accused of, but the argument has been that the procedure in taking decisive action against him is faulty because, according to some of the analysts we've heard here and even outside here, is unconstitutional. Well, the law is open and the case is open, so we'll leave it to the leaders of the nation to make the best of decision, particularly Mr. President, in responding to this issue. I know the NBA has called this action of Mr. Price, described it as a coup, but I know that there was no such a thing that has taken place, and we pray that never happens in this country. Well, that's our show today. I want to say big thanks to all our panelists for coming. Barrister Adams Ali, Sonny Daudu, and John Yakubu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. To all our viewers and listeners, we appreciate you for being a part of the program Politics Today. My name is Sonny Duke Okosun. Join me again on Monday on TMI as we take this discussion to another level. And then on Monday, we'll have our new program, Meet the Candidates, just an opportunity for candidates for the National Assembly to deliver their manifesto, and you have the opportunity to also interact with them via telephone. That's our program for today and for this week. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.